Hi guys, my name's Chelsea. I'm a teaching artist at Community Word Project. This is my cat Bowie, and we're going to be getting creating from my queen's apartment to your apartment, wherever you are. So let's have fun. Okay guys, so what we're going to be making today is we're going to be making Blackout Poetry and art. So for those of you that haven't heard about this before, don't worry because we are going to go all the way through it. So what is Blackout Poetry? So how the heck are we going to make this stuff? So Blackout Poetry is made when you pick out words and phrases in a block or page of text. You then use these select words and phrases to create a poem or an illustration by highlighting your chosen words and blocking out the others. So today I'm going to show you guys how you can create this using the MetaBang app, which is free to download on any device. Before you start, you will definitely need to be downloading the MetaBang app. If you plan to use it for this project, you will need to create a user account and email address. This will really only take you a couple minutes to do. It's free, quick, and easy. This video is not sponsored by MetaBang, by the way. I just think it's a really cool drawing app. So I just want to point out that there's also a few examples on each of these different slides. Feel free to pause the video and just have a little look at each of these because I just think they're really great examples of what you can do with Blackout Poetry. So even on this image here, her rib cage opened late at night. And once again, we have the kind of nighttime coming through and we have these lines crossing out the rest of the words on the page. And I think this is a really great example of how it's not always that you just block out all of the other parts of the text, but you can do that. So step one. Pick an image of a text you would like to make into your Blackout poem, then open it using the MetaBang app or whichever app that you might be choosing to use. I've uploaded several images of random scanned pages that you can use, or you can find your own using Google. Just Google anything like scanned text or scanned book page, anything you like. Step two, skim, read the page, and see what words or phrases jump out at you. As you do this, use the paint tool to circle or underline them. So when you guys are going to be doing this, I want you to just really skim read it. I don't want you to be reading the whole page, and verbatim. I want you to really skim read it and see what phrases are jumping out at you so that you can create your own version of these pieces of artwork. Step three. Once you've selected your words and phrases, use the paint tool in the MetaBang app to block out the rest of the text. Most people use black, but you can use any color. So if you're choosing to maybe make more of a kind of pattern situation, feel free to ignore this part. This is just something that I find easiest to do, and this is the most basic way that you can be creating your images and highlighting the text that you've chosen. Step four. You can stop at the last step if you prefer to keep your design simple. So if you just want a blank page with your poem, that's also totally fine. You can also create your own design though. I like to get fancy. I like to make a design inspired by the poem I created. I just think it's a really fun step. And I just think that the story that gets told through the image and the words together is my favorite part of doing Blackout Poetry. So this is an example that I made in the MetaBang app. I made this very quickly. So to make this Blackout poem, I used a random page of Alice in Wonderland, which is also in the folder. The words that jumped out to me when I created this poem: burning another moment, plenty of time to happen, to see anything, pictures hung upon pegs. So when I was picking those out, I was thinking, I guess, a lot about memory and just sort of feeling kind of sad about, the different kind of memories that maybe are coming up, as we're all kind of sat inside a lot and maybe with too much time to think. So I was thinking a lot about that, and the image that brought up for me is the idea of a photograph burning. So I drew a Polaroid photo burning with clouds of smoke coming out of it, and they kind of lift up into the words. And I really liked the way that on the page, that kind of way that the words connected and the pattern that they made with the smoke. I just thought that looked really cool, and I really liked the idea of the words lifting out of the photo. So now it's your turn and my turn. I'm going to be making a really, really quick example of how you guys can do this in real time. All right, so We're now going to be making Blackout Poetry and Metabang, and I'm just going to show you some of the really easy tools that I use to get the look that I used on my example in the PowerPoint. Now I'm a little bubble here at the side of the screen, and I will be showing you how you guys get your image into the app and then start making your Blackout Poetry. Okay, so you can use the examples that I put into the folder, or you can also use any image that you like. How you get it up on there, at least on a clunky old PC like mine, go on to open, select where it is that you want to go. I have my image already here, and it's there. So I just found this random page on Google. This is nothing special. It looks like a foreword in a book about planes. Seems pretty cool. So basically, what we're only going to be using in this tutorial is this paintbrush. So there's like a whole bunch of tools here. You can feel free to use any of them. The only one that I'm likely to be using here is the paintbrush, maybe the paint can, because I like to keep things pretty simple. When you're using the paintbrush, you can control the color here. You can also control the brush size. You can also do it on this side of the screen. You can make it real huge and just block out that whole page if you like. But don't worry, that will not stay there because we're going to press undo. So we've got the undo buttons up here as well, which is just important to note because I know I'm probably going to mess up a lot because I always do, and that's okay. We learn by doing. Okay, so I'm probably going to make this brush a little smaller. I'm also just going to select this black color when I'm making the poetry. So when we're picking the words, I just like to zoom in here, get up close and personal with these words. I know it looks a little bit blurry, but don't worry about that because it's not going to look like that when we zoom out. So what we do is that when we find words that we want to select, we can either underline them, or what I like to do from the start is just carefully block it off like that. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick some words. I think I'm going to pick a kind of theme here. So I'm liking this theme of adventure, so I might try and pick something along those lines, and let's see what I come up with. All right, guys, we're back. So while we were gone, I went and selected a few words that I turned into my own Blackout Poetry poem. So let's see what I selected. So, turn to adventures, to youth, flying only as a regular passenger, sea air, I feel whole. So I went along the line of adventure because that was one of the first words that stood out to me. And sometimes when I'm creating Blackout Poetry poems, to make it a little easier for myself, I like to select something along a theme so that I can create a story. And it's usually just something that jumps out at me at first. But you can also go in with an idea and try and kind of create a puzzle of a poem. So I find it really fun, that part of the process. Next up, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making my brush really big, or sort of big, and I'm going to be blacking out the rest of this page around all these little blocks. So I'm going to do that real quick, just using my tools, and I'm going to be doing that being careful not to black out any of the boxes that I chose. So this can be kind of delicate, so I recommend that you take your time with it. So I'll see you guys in a minute. So we're back. I just want to make something clear. If you want to keep certain elements of the back page behind the words that you selected, you absolutely can. Not a problem. Just for me in particular, I tend to prefer to create a really big, elaborate image, and I just think that it allows the words to kind of stand out more. But however you would like to design this, as long as you're making sure that the words that you selected stay as highlighted as possible, totally welcome to do it. So because in my PowerPoint example, I created an image, this time what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create more of a pattern and simple line drawing so that you guys can see that this is not just about
creating one type of blackout poem. It doesn't always have to be this really elaborate piece of artwork. It can also just be something that just looks really interesting on the page, and you can play around with the design. So I think I'm gonna make this blue, since we've got kind of the sea air in there. So I think that what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, ooh, that's not the color that I wanted. See, there we go, making mistakes. All right. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of squiggle across this page and use my cursor to create different kinds of lines throughout this. And I'm just gonna be kind of loose and fun with it. I'm not needing this to be perfect. And there you go. So for me, I'm happy with that design. You could also, for example, if you wanted to, you could add little dots here or there to kind of mimic the notes of that. Could even, you know, if you wanted, could start drawing like a fish here or there to mimic the sea. And that kind of feeling of being underwater. So you can just have a lot of fun with this. There's no right or wrong way. You can do an image that really relates exactly to the words you wrote, or you can kind of use your imagination and create a whole another level of what this story or this little piece of poetry that you've created out of this page of text could mean. And it's just really simple. So when you feel like you are finished with it, all you need to do is just go onto File, Save As, and you can save it as a whole new image. So I'm going to make this my adventure poem. You can give yours whichever title you like. So you can either save it as a Media Bang Paint Pro file if you feel like you aren't really finished yet. Or what you can do is you can save it either as a PNG or a JPEG. I like JPEG because I can more easily upload it to more places, but PNG is usually the highest quality of image. So you might lose some of the sharpness of your details, so just bear that in mind when you're saving. And then you save it. Make sure that you're keeping that quality as high as possible. And then you're done and you can upload it, and I would love to see these. So I really hope that you guys will upload them and I can see them. And I hope you guys have fun with this.
So that was it. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this really fun creative journey, and I'll see you guys next time.